All throughout the world, even locally, nationally, internationally, there have been a lot of tragedies and challenges that many of our youth, our children have seen through maybe TV, social media, or through conversations with their friends. And even as adults, it takes a toll on us. So especially if you know even as adults, it can take a toll socially, emotionally, physically, it can do the same for students. So here's a few things to keep in mind that when we talk to kids. The first thing, we need to listen. Every child will evaluate the situation or deal with the situation in different ways. So it's so important for us to make sure that we listen to our kids and see how they are feeling about something that might have happened locally, nationally, and internationally. Because even though maybe in your household you might be having talked about it, but they maybe heard about it somewhere else or they watched it somewhere else. So it's so important for you to make sure and gather the information, so then that way you'll know exactly what you need to do. Number 2 is to reaffirm safety, especially when something happens after you listen to the child. You want to make sure that you reaffirm safety, that sometimes it's an isolated incident or it's something that might have happened where they've heard on the news. Sometimes it might be a child. It can affect a child, right? They can get worried, is my safety in danger? So it's so important to reaffirm safety, and especially if you're a person of faith, to make sure that they make some supplications and prayers to help God to protect them, and you protect for others. But it's so important to kind of keep that in mind about all the local officials or people that even sometimes some isolated incident, that majority of people do respect and believe in safety and love specific minorities or faith. So kind of keep number 2 in mind. We got to reaffirm safety. Number 3, keep explanations developmentally accurate. Because some information sometimes at adult level, we're having detailed conversations. Sometimes for young individuals, you just want to give them enough information that they need. You do not need to give them too much details, especially if some child was hurt, that it was these many times that the child was stabbed, or this many times kids were killed at this school, or if there's something, overseas about a war. Keeping these specific things in mind, that you got to look at the child, how much they could take, and how much information that their body or their mind at that age can really understand. So please keep that in mind, that sometimes our conversations should not be the same conversations for children. Number 4, limit social media and TV access. Just like as we're talking about making sure that we don't want people to, you don't want to give too much. If on TV, everything is open. And so if you're not limiting what social media outlets you're watching or who's sending things, it could be overwhelming, and also could be depressing, and also could increase anxiety. So it's so important that you also have to filter, be careful of how much they are watching and what they're watching, and making sure that we keep it balanced. And that means that another thing is to keep that screen time. So just making sure it's not just social media, but even screen time, because they might say, well, I'm not going on these websites, but just people sometimes send texts with information or links, so you got to keep that specific thing in mind. The other thing is, it's so important as we're listening, we're trying to limit how much exposure, you have to see their emotional state. So just when we're listening, you want to see check-ins, how are they feeling? Every child will deal with things differently. Just like every adult will deal with some things differently. Some might have more calmness, some might have more patience. Not everyone's going to be the same. And people have a right to have emotions. But how we navigate through those emotions, this is where we as parents need to help our kids, to help them navigate and try to tell them exactly what we need to do and how to keep that in mind as we're talking to kids. At the same time, we need to keep a normal routine. No doubt about it, certain things that we might have in events that we have to say, oh, we're going to have to postpone it. But for young kids, if we change everything about what we're doing, hey, we're not going to be going out for the next week or two, those kind of also affect kids. So it's so important to still try to keep a normal routine, making sure for safety, security, but we have to realize that as life, things are going to go on, and you have to be resilient. You need to help and see what skill sets or what we could do to help better the situation, but you want to make sure you have that. The other thing is having positive thinking. No doubt about it, when so many tragedies are happening, we always going to feel sad, but we also have to say, look, but there's hope. There's things we could do. all of us, and tell your kids that maybe you could ride a car, maybe we're going to go to a protest, maybe we're going to write to the legislator, maybe we need to give money for this relief agency, maybe we're going to make people aware in our community about what's happening. Or it's so important for that individuals to see, like, in the situation, what can we do to make things better? It's so important. So I think that's something to kind of keep in mind. And then also as adults, we have to control our emotions. If kids see us arguing, yelling, getting mad, that's going to affect them too. So the way we respond, the way we talk to each other, the way we talk to the others in our community, or what we are going to do to make things better, plays a big part. And then lastly, especially people of faith and me being the Muslim, it is very important that we also have to have conversations about when God talks about that there are going to be challenges, that Allah is going to try us with our health, our wealth, our families. And at the same time, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners, and Allah is also just. So having the scholars or imams or other individuals to help navigate those conversations are so important, because it's so important to reaffirm, right? Because it's human nature that we're going to question, say, why is this happening? Why is God doing this? And I think it's so important that if you feel uncomfortable to answer that question, then having some individuals or people that you feel comfortable who could speak to them, our communities to do that would be very important. So inshallah, we ask that we all keep on making prayers. We all have to do our best, and inshallah, Allah will take care of the rest. Thank you.